Hi, welcome to a presentation on marketing and decision making, a core course offered in ISB. This is prepared by our team members Kanishk Chaturvedi, Akash Misra, Vijayendra M Nikam, and Sangho Jeon. So we are going to discuss about two things. In the first half, we'll discuss importance of the course, and in the second half, we'll emphasize on the key learnings along with a few examples of real life implications. So let's start. A fact. On an average, companies spend about 10% of their sales on marketing activities. However, there's a huge variation even within the top companies. For instance, Apple spends 7%, Oracle spends 20%, and Twitter spends a massive 44% of their sales on marketing. The big question is, why such a variance? Marketing budget is indeed a huge number. However, it's not strictly related to the brand value. Pampers spend about 8.3 billion and is ranked 50th most valuable brand in the world. On the other hand, Apple spends 1.8 billion and is ranked first. So how do these companies come up with these numbers? Companies have to weigh a lot of complexities. For instance, managing 54 variables with only two levels of decision can lead to 18 into 10 to the power 15 outcomes. Variables can be typical decisions that include, for instance, reposition versus redesigning. Why is my product doing so badly? How do I come up with an accurate forecast? And lastly, how much will I sell next quarter? So overall, decision making is a combination of creativity and science. Do companies always follow their instinct? No. Do they make an informed decision? Absolutely yes. It's a combination of data and information that results in a well-informed marketing strategy for a company. So let's move on to key learnings and a few implications as well. This course is designed around a product life cycle, which has various phases. We'll also delve into various decisions and strategies involved in each phase. Just to develop a perspective, we can say that Apple Watch is in development and introduction stage, iPad is in the growth stage, iPhone is at maturity, and iPod is in the declining stage. So let's start with the product development and introduction stage with a few other examples. First phase. Generally, companies face high cost and generate low revenues in this phase and primarily aim to introduce their product and generate awareness. Let's say if Maggi were to launch a new product that is extra spicy, they would want to predict their market share. And they will at least consider two decisions. First, assessing their competition, and second, impact on Maggi's existing portfolio. To estimate its share, companies refer to data inputs and quantitative models. So data inputs involve management inputs, their hunch and estimates. Consumer research data involves dependent on surveys that typically involve thousands of households. So model includes data based on consumer research. It compares a set of data before and after products consumption. So based on management inputs, assigns probabilities to distribution, awareness and availability of the product. So probabilities are important because it's very difficult to achieve 100% intended results. Based on these inputs, companies predict their market share, which is dependent on share drawn from the competitors and cannibalization of its own products and brand share. Moving on to the next phase, which is the growth phase. In this phase, generally companies experience rapid increase in their sales and thus profitability improves. In this phase, companies focus on extracting maximum value from their customers by reducing acquisition costs, by expanding its products, and customer retention. Acquisition costs can be reduced by either scaling up the number of customers or by decreasing the cost per customer. For instance, by increasing the base, marketing spend per customer would drastically reduce. Expansion could be achieved by increasing the usage of the product or by bundling the product so that consumers buy more. For instance, by promoting 13 ways to eat Maggi, consumers' usage of the products can increase, and by introducing a pack of 4, amount of Maggi bought by the customers will increase in the first place. Moving on to retention, which is a magic wand. Based on the consumer research, a 5% increase in retention rate can cause profit impact in some of the industries to increase drastically. For instance, in an ad agency, If you increase the retention rate by 5%, profits can be improved by 95%.
We now discuss the next phase in the product life cycle, the maturity stage. In this phase, generally companies experience peak sales and thus high profits. Economies of scale are observed due to large-scale production, resulting in lower costs. It is at this phase that a product without any modification earns the maximum profits. However, in this phase, there is no future potential to grow. This gives rise to an interesting phase wherein companies explore innovation, cost leadership, and try to defend their existing base. Companies follow different strategies to pursue future growth post the maturity stage. For instance, Coke achieved this through line extension. It introduced 4 variants in the soft drinks to appeal to different customer sections and increase customer base. On the other hand, Starbucks leveraged its brand to introduce different products such as ice cream and liquor. But all things must die, and with that depressing thought, we come to the decline phase. In this phase, sales and costs remain constant, assuming no external influence. However, we live in a competitive world, and if we stagnate, another company will innovate and produce a superior product, which will then cut our source of revenue. Hence, it is at this phase that profits tend to decline. In this phase, a manager has to assess a multitude of decisions which involve competition and what moves that they can play. It involves early prediction to avoid excessive costs. It involves the taking of tough decisions, whether we should overstock our product or understock, how much should we change our pricing, whether we should improve the sale of our product and maintain profitability as well becomes a major question. We have to figure out what our exit barriers are, whether an exit will be more expensive or it is the best positive NPV project. We have to look for our vision forward. How can we turn this situation around? In our predictions, one thing that helps immensely is the BAS model. It is a diffusion model that helps us predict the decline in the industry. A simple differential equation that studies the interaction between the current and potential adopters. The speed and timing of adoption depends on their A. degree of innovation, B. degree of imitation among adopters. Before we conclude, we must speak of MarkStrat, a simulation platform which you can analyze using your various studies. Here you can apply the theory and indulge in a real-time competition among your fellow classmates and make critical decisions which involve R&D, product and planning and marketing. The purpose of MarkStrat is to give you a holistic experience about the learnings of the course and a flavor of how marketing theories can affect decision making and impact the bottom line. This course is crucially recommended for every person who will ever work with a product. It has key learnings for entrepreneurs, product managers, and marketing managers. We hope our presentation has stimulated your interest towards this course. We assure you it will not be the most boring course you take at ISB. With that, I thank you and close our presentation.